Happy Sip and Sparkle Sunday. So good to see you, Sheila.
Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm thrilled that you're here. I've wanted you on for quite some time, and busy lady that you are. So, all right, well, let's take our obligatory sip. Yum.
That's good.
It is good. All right. Well, for our viewers, actually, I know most of our viewers probably know you or have heard of you.
Is that good or bad?
It's very good. It's very good. This woman is amazing. So there probably are a few that maybe have heard of you but don't really know you. So if you could just kind of share a little bit about who you are and what you do, that would be awesome.
I'm Sheila Steinmark, and I am the founder and managing partner of Marketing Operations Group. And Marketing Operations Group is an experiential marketing company. Most people are trying to figure out what's experiential marketing. So it's about the experience. It's face-to-face marketing.
Okay.
So I am not a creative agency. There are lots of great creative agencies that we work with, but I focus on the operations and logistics of how I bring consumers and brands together. So it could be at a sports event. Mm-hmm. It could be at a music event, on the concourse, on the stage, doesn't matter. It could be a pop-up retail. It could be a sampling tour. It could be a fair or a festival. So I do any type of marketing that allows consumers and brands to meet face-to-face.
Very fun.
Okay. It is. I've done some amazing programs over the years. I've had some fabulous clients and gone to some of the most spectacular events.
That's so cool. So what are some of the really cool ones that you remember? Well, I'm sure you remember them all, but.
Well, I started it at Anheuser-Busch.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the best things I ever did, and people constantly are like, no, really? I did the beer school. The beer school, if you remember the theme parks, Busch Gardens,
yes,
SeaWorld, and all of that, when they were owned by Anheuser-Busch, they had a beer school. Well, years ago, they decided they wanted everyone to have that experience. So we put it in trailers, and we put it on the road with 50-foot trucks and trailers.
Wow.
And it was fabulous. So took it to the Olympics, took it to the Final Four, took it to Super Bowl events.
That's so cool.
And it was a class taught by an Anheuser-Busch brewmaster. And so I had a crew of young men at the time. It was all men who took it out on the road, and it gave people the opportunity to go through the brewing process. So
wow.
It was a blast. And then after that, did a whole stint of nothing but mobile marketing and trade show and things like that. And I moved to an agency in the Boston area and started doing a lot of pop-ups. So one of the most well-known, and people tease about it, is the Charmin restrooms in Times Square. It sounds hilarious, but in New York City, there aren't public restrooms
right.
in Times Square. You have all these people, and you have to use the restroom. You have to go in and buy something at a restaurant or a store or something in order to be able to use the restrooms. So what we did was between Thanksgiving and New Year's each year, we would open up restrooms. So 20 stalls where between every use it's cleaned. And wow. We had hundreds of thousands of people use these restrooms. We had, at last count, 8 billion media impressions.
Wow.
And 8 billion media impressions is huge, but when you think about the standards and Procter & Gamble sets for it, it means it's 2 inches of type or 30 seconds of airtime.
Wow.
Which is huge. It's not just showing the logo, it's actually spending time talking
right.
about it. And to get 8 billion media impressions is huge. And we had people doing what we call the potty dance. And, I think the funnest part about working on that project is my daughter and my nieces were on a road trip with me one weekend, and they started using they were telling potty jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta capture this. And then it was a long weekend, so a 3-day weekend. So Tuesday morning, I walk in and we're doing a Charmin brainstorm. And so all of the little girls' potty jokes became fodder for this brainstorm, which was fabulous.
That's so funny.
So I could even scold them for their potty humor.
That's awesome.
From there, doing things like Kellogg's. So I did a cafe for Kellogg's in just outside of Times Square, but in New York City, which was absolutely fabulous. And I've done a beach in Times Square for Corona.
Oh wow, that would be cool.
So literally at midnight, you bring in the trucks with all the sand and you put the heating elements down because you can't have cold sand on a beach. And it was still early enough in May in New York that it needed to be heated. And we brought in a huge Corona bottle that was, stories high.
Mm-hmm.
And then brought in beach volleyball, and we just had a fabulous day. And then by midnight, we had to be gone again.
Oh, wow.
So every bit of sand was gone, every chair, you name it, it was gone.
Wow.
So it's fun. It's anything from those types of spaces to national tours.
Oh, wow.
And things like the Peeps Mobile. So you think about Marshmallow Peeps?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had vehicles built out to look just like Peeps and then put them out on the road.
That's deadly.
And right now I'm doing a ton of sampling programs.
Very
so
cool.
I changed the sampling model at Kellogg's by the way we do the math behind the marketing. So it's a lot of fun.
That is so cool. So creative. I mean, it's like, how do you come up with this stuff?
What I do is I take that nugget, that idea,
Mm-hmm.
and then figure out how to make it happen. So one of my partner agencies decided that for one of the charities, Folds of Honor,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to do a hot air balloon. And it was on behalf of Rite Aid, the Rite Aid Foundation, and Unilever, and Johnson & Johnson, and Nestle Water. And so what they did was they got drawings that the children created. So the children who are recipients of these scholarships drew pictures of what they wanted to be when they grow up.
Oh, neat.
And then I figured out a company that could take those drawings and put them on the hot air balloon.
Wow.
And we call it the Dream Ship because every time the balloon launches, so do the children's dreams.
Wow.
So
that's
it's
so
fabulous.
cool.
So we did 50 event days a year where we go to different types of festivals, not just balloon events,
Mm-hmm.
but events all over the country that allow people to interact with this fabulous charity and the sponsors. So it was a great opportunity.
Very interesting.
It's fun.
That is so fun. Wow. So how did you start your company? I mean, you have quite a story.
I got into marketing by mistake.
Okay.
But I responded to an ad in the newspaper for an administrative manager for Anheuser-Busch.
Wow.
Well, when I went through the process, I found out it was their creative agency. And so I ended up at Busch Creative Services. And Busch Creative Services was the in-house agency for Anheuser-Busch. And I worked there as an administrative manager for a short period of time. And then they had a problem with the beer school. They were having logistical issues on how to get these tractor trailers from event to event and how to train this team. And the Army suited me well for that. I was still in the Guard and I was working full-time for Anheuser-Busch, and all of a sudden I am running a crew all over the country.
Wow.
So it was a great experience.
That is.
And it taught me a ton. And that was my start. I went from there to the agency just outside of Boston.
Okay.
Spent 5 years there, and then still worked for them for a year here in the Dallas area when my husband and I got married and he got relocated here.
Mm-hmm.
And one day we realized that we were spending a ton of effort making somebody else's dreams come true.
Mm-hmm.
And it was time for me to branch out on my own.
Good for you.
So I started the business, and of course I hadn't thought about starting the business until right around the time I decided to do it. By that time I had moved geographically. I had changed my name and had changed a company. So all of a sudden, I had to rebrand myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to let people know that I had changed my name, that I was positioned someplace else in the country that they weren't familiar with me being, and I needed to let them know what I was doing. So it really was an exercise in rebranding.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything I tell my clients before they're about to do a big rebranding, I had just done, or everything
Right.
I had told them not to do, I should say. And so I had to start from nowhere. I did things like I started speaking. So I publicly did a ton of speaking, and I love the speaking engagements. And while I was doing a lot of it on branding and experiential, I found I really enjoyed teaching women.
Mm-hmm.
So I started a girlfriend network, and most recently I've joined Judy Hoberman. And Judy Hoberman is a nationally known speaker and trainer who really looks at women in leadership and how to empower them, and then also focusing on the men who champion them. So she's recently written a book on called Walking on the Glass Floor. So instead of breaking through the glass ceiling, you're already there.
Mm-hmm.
But then what do you do when you're there?
Right.
How do you get ahead? How do you stay there? How do you empower the next group of women leaders? And how do you get men to champion them? So I've joined her group in the last couple of months, become a certified speaker, and I'm a Ziegler certified speaker,
Mm-hmm.
and take the message.
Wow.
Teach people how to do that, and how to, own your own brand.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it's the marketing company, it's the speaking, it's the training and coaching, and then I'm working on my book. So I've already been included in a book, but I just started another book. So
She's amazing. I told you, she's very amazing.
it's a lot of fun. It is a
Wow.
lot of fun.
I'm
And
in
then, of
awe.
course, the Girlfriend Network.
I know, which is how we knew each other before. Not real well, but we knew each other through the McKinney Chamber, but got to know each other really well through the Girlfriend Network, which I love. It's a great organization.
It's done so much for me. I started it in my living room with 8 women who I barely knew when my business was very new and I was struggling. And it's how do I build that network of women that I'm used to having, I've had all my life
Mm-hmm.
and through my entire career. As a marketing executive, I had to travel a ton, and I was a single parent for so many years, and it was my girlfriends who always helped me through. And I found myself with a husband who traveled a ton, still, have my daughter at home, and needed to figure out how I balance my life and start this business. And I got done with my first big program and realized, 1, I didn't have any new business to go to, and number 2, I didn't have a network here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I brought in 8 women, had a conversation with them. In the evening, kind of slowly progressed, and I got more anxious and more anxious. And then finally, it was like, okay, there's a purpose to why I invited you here. I don't need anything from you, but to have girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
I need that power of walking into a room and knowing that somebody's got my back, that somebody will kick me in the butt once in a while when I need it,
Mm-hmm.
and others will
Huge.
just encourage me and once in a while, pick me up off the floor, dust me off, and send me on my way again.
There you go.
Go do it. And once in a while, I just need a champion, somebody who's gonna, and yes, I have that with my daughter and I have that with my husband, but there are things you get from your girlfriends that
Absolutely.
you can't get at home.
Absolutely.
And, that has grown, and while it may not sound huge, we have 250 people in our group. Our meetings tend to be really small, and it just happens to be the right niche on the right day.
Mm-hmm.
So we may have 30 or 35 ladies who show up for a meeting, but it's usually empowering, and it gets me through to the next month.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And they're all really strong women. And I don't mean like obnoxiously strong, like overbearing, but I mean that have a lot of strength, and not that they don't appreciate support. They absolutely do. But I mean, really strong women who want to make a difference. And I think that's so awesome.
It's funny. I don't know how it happens. God works in mysterious ways.
Mm-hmm.
But he always brings the right ladies for the right night.
Agreed.
You know, we may have a lady who doesn't show up for 4 or 5 months, and she shows up on a night where she really contributes in a way that touches people's hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And when you walk into a meeting somewhere on the other side of town, or the other side of Dallas even,
Mm-hmm.
and I walk into a room and I realize that one of my girlfriends is in that room, it just makes it so much easier to walk in.
Yes.
And once in a while, going out on our page and saying, you know what, I'm just struggling today. Just give me some words of what encourages you, what inspires you. And all of a sudden, I get this long stream of encouragement of women who I respect and care about and love. And they're pouring their hearts out saying, you can do this. And I'm like, yes!
Yes, I can.
This is my tribe.
Absolutely.
These are the women who inspire me and who push me to be better. And I know that the day that my daughter enters the business world, these are women who have her back.
Oh, totally.
And when I introduce one to another, I know that there is immediate respect between them. There's none of the little cat fighting and the bickering behind each other's back and all of that. These are women who are here for a purpose, and they bring their A game every time we sit down. So
It's pretty awesome.
I love it.
So I'm sure our members or our viewers are saying, how do I become a member of that fabulous organization?
So you look up Girlfriends Networking,
Okay.
and it is a closed group, so you have to ask to be invited. And then we're going to send you a couple of questions. We don't want just anyone to show because they simply have a business or they want to sell people. This isn't about selling from one person to the group. It's about understanding that we are more together than we are apart, and building relationships which allow us to do more. And you're going to get so much further if you come and build the relationships with the people in the group rather than come with your business cards and just see how many people you can sell to.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about. And once we know that you have common values with us and that you're looking to build relationships and not simply looking to sell, then we invite you in.
Awesome.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's a pretty great group. So you have so many awesome things that you are doing. Where do you see yourself in like 10 to 15 years? Where ultimately do you want to be?
In 10 to 15 years, I'm going to sell my company.
Okay.
But I want to leave it in a certain condition. So right now, I'm working with Fortune. I work up to Fortune 10 companies.
Nice.
And, I've been truly blessed. I also have Fortune 100 and 500, and I work with some really small companies too. But I want to be in a position that I have a regular stream of business and a book of work. And I would love to sell that company and be able to travel and do more speaking and do more writing. But I also want to help women work on their brand. And when I say their brand, who they are and knowing how to articulate it to make it mean something to someone else.
Oh, that's good.
It's not just, this is who I am and this is what I do.
Right.
It's, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is the value I bring. So if I am a marketer, I help elevate your brand. If I am a designer, or I sell designer jewelry as you do, it is I help you feel more confident in your appearance when you go out in public. So I empower you. We have friends who are cabbie designers or cabbie stylists.
Yeah.
And it's making us feel more comfortable and more confident when I take the stage. It is our friends who do oils and how we help them or how they help us live a healthier lifestyle. And how do you articulate it in a way that people say, that's for me, and that connects with my lifestyle?
That's huge. That's huge. Something to think about, right? You need to hire this lady.
But it's also about, the presentation skills I teach and the empowerment I teach. I want to teach future leaders, and I did that in the Army. I used to teach leadership skills, and then I took it to Anheuser-Busch, and I taught those field managers or crew chiefs who then became field sales reps for Anheuser-Busch. So at one point, there were like 42 guys sitting in Anheuser-Busch who had all been trained by me and the techniques that I had learned over the years and are now making a difference there.
Awesome.
So it's great.
That is really amazing. Wow. So can you share for our viewers your website? So if they need some marketing assistance or if they just want to check it out, but absolutely, if you need or know of somebody who could use Sheila's services.
Well, I have marketingopsgroup.com.
Okay.
And then also one of the best ways of reaching out and looking at the work that I've done is my LinkedIn site.
Okay.
So if you go to me and search for me on LinkedIn and reach out to me there.
Okay. Awesome. Well, this has been awesome.
Well,
I just love spending time with you. You're just amazing.
Spending time with you.
So thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
Have a fabulous week.
Thanks, you too. And for all of you, may you sip and sparkle. And we will talk to you in a week. All right. Bye-bye.